Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Warped Season 2 episode. Don't look at that. That's wrong. It's 26. Damn it. It's always something.
You had
just
one
rolled
job
with it.
Every time.
One job.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome. We will be using mature language. Please prepare yourselves accordingly, whatever it is that you have to do to make sure that you're prepared. How's it going, everybody? I'm sorry. I'm a little jittery and freaked out today. I got a new car. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Your boy.
I've never had a new car, and it's
It's got a Scooby.
What?
A Scooby.
I don't understand.
Subaru Impreza is
Scooby-Doo Impreza.
colloquially known as a Scooby.
Maybe over there. That's the first time
Yes.
I've ever heard it.
That's why I said colloquially.
That's a word. That's a good word right there.
That's a 155
I've been
IQ word
saving
right
that
there.
all month.
It's like gloopy and boke and you know, squishy
And the ability to correctly pronounce the word niche.
and aluminium.
And mirror.
And
Yes, we have
herbs.
mirrors. You have mirrors.
Please notice that all of the
This is
people
racism.
from the UK are currently wearing Pikachu hats.
Yeah, this is our.
Us
Bobby
versus
had one on-
them.
Yeah, in fairness, Bobby had one too, but he had to take it off because it wouldn't.
He's got
Yeah.
too many brains to fit into that hat.
Peachy, Fuzzy, and I.
That's a fucking
are,
joke.
Yeah, Peachy, Fuzzy, and I are a new crime fighting group. We're called.
Yes,
Pikachu.
I'm called Pichaku.
Freakachu! Wow, yeah.
Wow.
Pikachu.
And you've just created a new one. Congratulations. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is a sci-fi space opera show where we roleplay and stuff. And we use the What's Old is New system. We are the official channel for the What's Old is New RPG. If you guys are unsure about what that is, essentially you can head on over to woinrpg.com, WOINRPG.com, to learn more about it. It's a really cool role-playing system that allows for several different kinds of settings. The one that we use for the show here is called n.e.w, and it's the sci-fi, space opera, futuristic type setting. There's also OLD, and I do a show for that where I DM. Zir'Cvon'Gh is on that as well. That's on Mondays for Table Story over at Brad Wodo's channel. And basically, if you're curious about like the medieval fantasy side of the system, that's done there. And then there's another setting called n.e.w, and that is the modern type of setting for the system. And the core rules just came out for that. That I think are available on like Drive-Thru RPG, RPG Now, that whole network of the RPG sites. You can check that out. But otherwise, you can head on over to woinrpg.com and learn a little bit more and figure out exactly what's going on and how we're playing this. The group here is part of a colony ship known as the Arcadia. The Arcadia. They have a very large amount of people on this ship, approximately 10,000 people with several thousand in cold storage. Essentially, they're in cryo, waiting to be awoken for possible colony options, research. We don't know, because they are sort of lost in space for all intents and purposes, in a different universe and possibly a different time. We're not sure. But why don't we go around the room and let's introduce all of our wonderful people and their characters and any announcements that they may have. Let's start off with Mr. Iron Chef Bobby Flail. Why don't you get started?
Sounds good. What's up, guys? I'm Iron Chef Flair here on Twitch. I'm addicted to Far Cry 5. It's a fantastic game. If you haven't played it, be sure to drop by my channel early in the mornings and check it out. I like to kill turkeys and throw shovels at about like 100 yards to impale people in the head. It's a fantastic game. Here I play Zir'Cvon'Gh, the radical, brutal, vicious alien. Think Predator, the movie Predator. The alien in that, basically a taller, lankier version of that alien is what I play. Announcement for me, I said this at the end of last show, but I am currently in the process of writing a campaign set in the n.e.w setting of of What's Old is New.
Did you get in touch with Morris, by the way?
I did.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
he hooked me up. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I couldn't find any of it. It was like, Morris, please help me. I don't know where anything is. He was like, here you go. It was great. Morris is fantastic. But yeah, so I'm super excited for that. So I'll be talking more about that as the weeks pass. And yeah, that's me.
Awesome. What's the status on Toronto, by the way?
May 1st.
Oh, shit.
Move-in day, May 1st. I don't have an apartment yet, but I'm going to have one by May 1st, yeah. So I'll be at the end of this month, end of April.
Awesome.
So.
Awesome. That's super hype, bro. I'm so excited for you. Let's go next to Fuzé.
Hello, I have the plague, so I'm an old lady today. I've even got me crochet. I play Betty Bahoop, and she's super lewd and definitely completely unlike me.
100% unlike you.
100%. Pure as the driven snow.
She is red.
Even the snow needs to be plowed, Fuzzy.
No. Betty's definitely yellow. She's the yellow snow. Don't eat Betty. Talking of eating Betty.
Simply. Yeah. I didn't make the transition. She did.
Hello?
Don't look at me.
You choose the order.
My name is Blue Jackson, writer, broadcaster on Twitch. I do art and games, and I'm really addicted to Pixar right now. It's real bad. I play 7H1CC, or commonly known as Thick, our navigational and puzzle-loving android who currently is locked in a prison cell by herself and has no idea what to do. So, this is fun. I'm just gonna start like flailing herself into like trash piles to like cooperate with like her brain. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. It's fine. Speaking of gonna be fine.
Zir'Cvon'Gh.
Hi, I'm Zir'Cvon'Gh, and I have no hope that it's gonna be fine. I play Ilya Muromets, who is... Oh, yeah, it's not gonna be fine. Who is super unhappy with the chain of events that occurred in the last session. Fuck! He's gonna do his best to deal with it by the book, as the military man he is. As for me and my announcements, I don't have much. I think I'm gonna start Bayonetta next week. I've never played it, and someone gifted it to me for my birthday, and apparently it's one of the best Steam ports of a console game ever. Everyone says it's a great port.
Interesting.
Yeah. I was looking at the reviews, and everyone's like, this is how you port a game. So, looking forward to that. We're going to start that next week. And apart from that, it's roleplay here and on Brad Wodo's channel, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You get 3 days of roleplay with me in a row. And normally that's, you know, several $1,000s worth of intimate roleplay time. So, you know, you're lucky to get it for free.
You have to be really extra special to get that catalog.
Yeah.
Speaking of extra special, Peachy.
I was hoping we'd go for speaking of... No, I'm not.
Speaking of catalogs?
No, I'm not finishing that because I know what's going to happen in my Discord later. Hi, I'm Peachy Pixel 8. That's the number 8, not the letter 8. I'm currently streaming what I've come to decide is the best Mass Effect in the series. I also picked up Far Cry 5. So maybe Monday.
You can't be streaming the best.
Have you?
Effect, you're not playing too.
Have you, Peachy?
That's the worst.
Peachy,
Bitch,
I'm just
I will-
curious. Do you have groceries?
Do I have groceries? No.
Will you have
Hashtag
groceries?
sponsored by Huel. I can't
God.
afford. I buy video games. I can't eat dust. I put water in the dust. I hope you enjoyed today's show because I am dust fueled.
Oh God!
Speaking of angel dust,
Hey everybody, I'm Wax Steven. I'm the GM of Doom, and I will be dragging these people kicking and screaming through the adventure today, whether they want to or not. I will be dragging, I will be kicking, and they don't get to kick. They just get to be dragged. I get to kick them while I'm dragging them. That's the
What if
whole...
I have the kicking skill?
That's another story. You can invest your XP into that if you want.
oh my god, can I get the screaming skill?
You definitely can. Yeah. So welcome everybody to the show. Welcome. Last episode, the characters were getting further along into a sort of cyberpunk noir mystery when the curtain was pulled back by one of their own teammates. 7H1CC was presented with an opportunity, and she went ahead and took it. Things did not go so well, unfortunately, as her partner in crime, the hacker aboard the ship, B.R.A.I.N, ran into some problems. They are all currently inside of a sort of hollow simulation known as the Spectacle, the main form of entertainment as well as the economy for a species known as the Pyrrylp, a species that uses the Spectacle to engage in these sort of hollow simulations as well as use them to substitute like an economy. They've essentially earned credits by participating in the Spectacle, different kind of events and things, and it will allow them to make purchases in other ways, even real-world items, as Vok 2 found out last session buying several loot crates.
Like, I should have at least looked at all the cool things I could have bought.
You immediately just did.
Because it's what he would have done. Like, I was so angry that I had to do that.
Oh, God. Yeah, so Vok 2 got some equipment. And the rest of the group were incarcerated as they were found out to be, well, I guess in relation to this android incursion into the Spectacle. B.R.A.I.N and 7H1CC tried to interface with the Spectacle and essentially find a way to hack it. They were unsuccessful. Caught. And now the group currently sits in private cells, a sort of white, sterile-like environment where they are trapped by a energy shield of sorts. Each one in their own cells. At the end of the last session, we found out that they would be part of Zir'Cvon'Gh's court. So,
We also found out something else last episode.
yeah. A certain Dr. Icarus was in fact infested by a member of the Secret. One of the chameleon bugs was inside him for quite a while. And altering his perceptions and actions.
Did it even buy him breakfast?
He was the breakfast.
That was very sultry. Very sultry.
I can't turn it off, Peachy. That's just the way that I am.
I'm strangely moist right now.
Yeah,
By the way,
you got
not-
that smolder skill.
Really fancy some cucumber for some reason.
I really feel the need to just deep throat it. No, anyway, a nice lolly. I was about to say a nice lolly. Ice lolly.
That makes it better?
Well, yeah.
I want cock. There. Okay, I took it to the extra step. We're done now. All right, fuck.
So,
We did the swear warning, right?
yeah, we did that.
Okay, cool. Right, good.
So, Dr. Icarus was, in fact, taken over by a member of the Secret, and we are now in a sort of courtroom environment. You guys are all lined up at a table. You can see everybody from the shuttle is there, sort of lined up in these chairs. It's not like a sort of like straight up American courtroom drama. It's got this kind of weird twist to it with the way that the architecture is kind of set up. It's very white, and there's kind of like these pedestals with chairs for, I guess, the witness stands and whatnot. And it's going to be great with this sort of cross-culture assumptions for this courtroom because the UK does things quite a bit differently than we do. So I'm just going to do everything American, and they're just going to have to deal with it. Get fucked. And and the chairs that you guys are sitting in are kind of like these weird sort of half eggshell chairs, not the ones from Men in Black that go all the way up, but you kind of sit like in them a little bit. They're almost like cups, with the front cut out a little bit. They do spin, yes.
But it's just like, whee!
They're not fast though. They're not like on a. Yeah. They're the kind that you have to like push off like every few like degrees of the turn.
This is fun. But he's probably just like, got one leg just, this is great.
And this kind of like music starts to come over the courtroom, this sort of intense sort of and there you can see that there's a very huge crowd behind you. It's almost like the courtroom has basically been altered, and it's just a giant. It's almost like an arena, like behind you. There's thousands of people, and you can see that some of them are sort of transparent. I'd say a good chunk of them are transparent, maybe like 95%, and several of them, I would say there's some alien races there, but not very much. It's a majority of these Pyrrylp that have this sort of odd, almost like potatoes with limb kind of bodies, and they've got like different amounts of limbs and stuff, but they all are sort of blinged out. Like a lot of them are wearing very bright colors. Mostly sort of close to white. There's not very many dark colors, and they're wearing like they're wearing like a lot of jewelry and stuff. And who's the moist emote from?
This is the same one that the daddy one's from.
Oh, bloody faster.
Yeah, so you guys are sitting at this table, and you can see like these two large chamber doors that are sort of like the gates into Moria, almost like that kind of arched door. They're very tall, and they just kind of like open, receding into the wall, and this sort of fog machine effect kind of rolls in. And then the music starts to intensify and gets like louder in volume, and the crowd starts to react like, oh, and you're like, and the translator can't keep up with everything. Like you can hear this sort of native language of the Pyrrylp, which is just very.
Is the translator basically just going rhubarb, 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 rhubarb?
What is that from? Is that from Hitchhikers? No.
No. It's just kind of what actors say. Well, you know the people in the background of like films where they're talking but not actually saying anything. And
that's what they're supposedly saying. Got it.
It's one
I've
of the
heard
things.
some do watermelon as well.
If a lot of people say it quietly, it sounds just like murmuring in the background.
Gotcha.
Again, make it out.
Gotcha. So, in walks Zir'Cvon'Gh, and ornamented in different color robes. They're like a deep red, wearing this sort of strange set of jewelry that extends all the way down the sort of front of these robes that trail along the ground. You can see this creature's feet are also covered in jewelry, and lots of those kind of Bajoran like earring type things where they've got like chain connecting one piece of jewelry to another. And there are it's wearing a sort of it doesn't have a head. The sort of, I guess the face is kind of embedded like in the body, the torso, where it's got like a mouth and 5 eyes. But it does have something that's wearing like on the top portion of where its head would be, and it kind of has this weird aesthetic, like it's a bit asymmetrical. It's got more dangly bits and jewelry hanging from it, and everything gets you. It's not even hard.
Dangly bits. Giggity.
So, the Zir'Cvon'Gh sort of seats itself in the sort of chamber area, this raised pedestal, which you would assume is its kind of ruling table. I forget what it's called for the judges area, but it seats itself there, and you hear this like immediate like zrak, 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 and you see like this like lights flashing brightly and sort of energy arcing across in strange patterns from each side of the room to the other. The crowd quiets down, and you can hear reverberating through the arena court. Welcome, assembled Pyrrylp alien creatures, to Zir'Cvon'Gh's court. I am producer Zir'Cvon'Gh. We will now begin the trial for these alien creatures that come from the ship Arcadia. They have been charged with incursion into the spectacle system, one of our highest offenses. Do you have representation, alien creatures? Will one stand forth to represent the rest?
Yes, I will. I'm gonna raise a hand.
Very well.
Idea.
You are foregoing any other opportunity to be represented.
Wait,
Very well.
Wait, hang on a
We
minute,
shall
hang on a minute.
proceed.
Wait,
No,
oh,
I thought it had to be one of us. Can we get professional?
That depends. Will any stand forth to represent these alien creatures and these robotic android entities? Dead silence behind you.
Okay, then I will do.
But he's totally waving to the crowd every now and then, just.
Give me a persuasion check if you have it, Ilya. Otherwise, you can roll me charisma.
Is this a situation where I can use my rep instead?
Yes.
Okay. And I don't have a persuasion. I have both law and bureaucracy, if either of those are useful.
No, not in this case.
Okay, just the rep roll then.
Yep. An
Okay.
8 on a what?
3d6.
Ouch. Ouch. No one comes forth. Very well. The entity known as Ilya Muromets shall represent the aliens. I would like to pose another question to the entity known as Vok2. Vok2, draw. Do you seek to remain with these creatures?
Am I with them right now? Because I thought I was walking to the.
Oh, that's correct. I'm sorry.
So I'm not even there.
Yeah, so you got sent to the prize area to claim your prize.
Wandering around there. Yeah.
It almost looks like so for your area, it almost looks like a baggage claim. There's just like a conveyor belt. And the prize
Space Argos.
the fucking like package is like thump.
I'm too stupid to know which ones are mine. So like my
it'll say your name.
rotating.
Like it'll actually say your name like on it. It'll be in your language and
Okay.
everything.
Okay, that's good at least.
Yeah, and as you get close to him, there's some kind of like light that lights up. It'll just like bing. Little flash.
Is the trial on the TVs around this room as well?
Everywhere, dude. It's everywhere.
Yeah, I'd probably be watching that as stuff has just passed me by, just completely ignoring the auditory cues that my stuff is there.
Okay. Yeah, you can see these creatures that you sort of spent time with in the spectacle. Everyone's dressed differently. Everyone's back in their normal clothing that they were in. Also, something of note is there's sort of a picture-in-picture describing the person that you met, known as Dr. Icarus. You can see this kind of person laid up. It's Dr. Icarus. They're laid up in a sort of chair, and they're hooked up to all these different machines. Give me a regular logic check. If you have medicine, you can add that.
Definitely don't have that. Just a regular logic check?
Yep.
Okay. There it is.
A 9 on a what? 2d6?
On a 2d6.
Okay, that's enough to realize that he's definitely hooked up to some kind of medical equipment.
The corpse of Dr. Ilya or the bug itself?
Dr. Icarus? No,
Icarus,
it's not a corpse. He appears to be alive, and he is hooked up to many different pieces of medical equipment. You don't know what any of it does, but you see things beeping, and you can see that he's got tubes and stuff stuck in him, and he's breathing.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a few other aliens that are in the prize areas, and they look like they're trying to collect their bags, but everybody's glued to these TVs. Like they're not really paying attention to what's going on with their bags and stuff, or in their prizes. Yeah, you can see that there's like this little picture-in-picture, and it says, infested by one of the Secret, this entity, unknown to him, participated in these events. Will not be counted as part of the trial.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to wait until I notice the chair that I won come around, and I'm just going to take the chair off of the conveyor belt and just put it in front of a TV and just sit down and start watching.
I forgot you won a chair.
Yeah, just a metal chair.
Yeah, it's not special in any way. It's like a restaurant chair. It's got some kind of floral pattern for the cushion. Yeah, you just kind of sit down on it, cop a squat. Everybody starts to like crowd around too. Like, there's probably like 5 or 6 other people in the prize area that just seem to be crowding around watching this. And we go back to the courtroom, and you can hear Zir'Cvon'Gh just kind of saying, "The entities have been charged with incursion into the spectacle. I ask now, entities, how do you plead?"
First, there's some clarification, if I might ask.
Clarification into what?
Many of the individuals, myself included, were inside the spectacle at the time and had no part in this. I am happy for anyone directly involved in to be charged, but I think for all others, charges should be dropped.
You are pleading not guilty, is this correct?
Personally, yes, I'm not guilty.
You speak for all entities that sit at this table.
I look around. Is everyone here?
Everyone from the shuttle is here. Everyone except for Dr. Icarus and Vok 2.
Well, we are not one entity. We are separate beings and should therefore be treated as such.
Right, I had nothing to do with this. I was in a completely different thingy.
from our records obtained through cranial scans, when entering the spectacle, it is believed that your team operates on a command structure. Is this incorrect?
Well, this is correct, and my commands.
What is your rank
clear.
amongst the team members involved?
I am the leader of this group.
And you are the representative of this group as well?
Yes.
Therefore, it will be concluded that you will all be charged together. If you are in command of this group, then you must take responsibility for their actions.
But
Why he wasn't with them? Why he came here
Betty, don't speak out of
I
turn.
wanna
You're
be
in
charged.
contempt
Oi,
of
oi, you wanna-
objection.
Oh, you want to be charged
Objection.
separate? What? What are you
Obje-
objecting
is this
to?
She
how-
will be silenced. And you can see like this glowing button, like Betty. You feel this like it's like a halfway pleasant vibration for a second, and then you realize like.
Thank you, Your Honor. My request would be that anyone in our group who breaks your laws are in direct violation of my orders, and I would banish them from our group. They should be charged as individuals.
Ichar stands up and says, "It is my failure. I was in charge of the group that was left behind. Please, do not assume that Lieutenant Muromets was in charge entirely of this operation. He was given control to me. I failed." This does not matter. It will be ruled with all of you sharing the same fate.
This is... we are unfamiliar with your laws, but where we are from, this is unjust. You cannot be held responsible for crimes you did not commit. It would be like saying all of you should be under arrest for destruction of property because you destroyed some of our property with large ship.
Please roll me a law plus charisma.
Use rap instead.
Sure.
I love that I got rap instead. It's good. Okay. 16?
16 out of 46. He says, "That is irrelevant. Your cranial scans have proved that you are incorrect in that assumption. It has clearly defined a command structure of which you all are a part of. If you are leading this, it makes no sense for anything else."
Well, surely you have a hierarchical structure. You yourself as producer are obviously senior and hold respect, so therefore if it applies the same. I'm trying to establish a baseline to which we can have
Irrelevant.
discussion. I don't believe it's irrelevant.
Irrelevant.
My thoughts are irrelevant?
Irrelevant.
All individuals involved are no longer part of our group. Does that work? I banished them. They are no longer under my control. They are now individuals with individual agency.
They were part of the group when the actions had occurred. Any further actions would be considered separate.
Well, if I might explain what our approach would be in this instance, the individuals would be severely punished for disobeying direct order, and also potentially would be charged with treason as they damaged relations between us and yourselves, which I believe the maximum penalty is execution. They would be killed. So if it would please Your Honor, we will deal with this internally. You are more than welcome to join us in the ensure that you're happy with the result. We are new here. We came here to establish relations. I gave everyone clear orders. They were to respect entirely your laws. They were not to do anything that could be seen as aggressive or harmful. And they disobeyed my orders. We will deal with this internally if that is.
Please, charge me in
Basically.
place of Lieutenant Muromets. I am the one at fault. Zir'Cvon'Gh just kind of turns. This is, again, irrelevant. Your laws are not applicable here. You are within our custody. You will be tried by our laws. And in this case, it is believed that you are all the same entity.
I understand. What does the charge entail exactly? You said infiltration. What is letter of
There
law?
was
What-
an incursion into our system. The records show that this occurred from outside the spectacle, where your shuttle was docked.
Yes. Incursion, what is your legal definition of this? With malicious intent, or is it any accessing of systems without permission?
When there is any access to the back-end systems of the spectacle, the perpetrators will be dealt with in a swift and terrible fashion.
So what is the punishment we face potentially?
Potential punishment for disrupting spectacle systems, tampering with the back-end systems, will lead to permanent programming.
Permanent programming is life imprisonment inside spectacle. Or
It leads to a lack of credits received while inside the spectacle. It will be impossible to leave.
okay, it's life imprisonment.
Permanent entertainment and programming.
Okay,
Betty's face. Just
might we have short recess so I may discuss with my colleagues?
As disclosed in our bylaws, which start to just like fade in, like teeny tiny micro letters on the producer's pedestal. You see like just a wall, like they all have come up. There must be like a million lines of text to this.
I can't make it out. It's
The,
very
the
small.
kind of glowing.
Could you zoom in? But
There are no
Those-
zoom features on the pedestal, but
Does that say long, long ago in a galaxy far, far away?
it most
Stop
definitely does
mumbling.
not.
Okay. In that case,
You will have
It-
access to 10 minutes of your time.
I have okay, 10 minutes.
10
Thank you.
minutes.
Okay. Do we get to go after a room or did it just
So
say
so
there's
no,
like
when you
discussion?
go back, the privacy bubble will now be erected. There's just kind of this buoyant like whoop.
Erected? Ooh.
Okay.
Betty's just kind of mouthing the words. She's like,
Mhm.
Sorry.
Okay, I have one idea. So Dr. Icarus is not here. So that would mean that he is either too ill or he is not being charged as he had the thing.
what
Ex-
do you mean he had the thing?
"Excuse me, Lieutenant Muromets.
Yes, HR.
I think we need to discover who was the person or persons that had committed this crime.
Yes, I agree.
Those that broke your orders." And she immediately turns to Brain. Brain is just like sitting rigid, like looking straight.
Would the person who committed these crimes please identify yourself?
If by crime you mean I was worried because the characters that we played in the game were in danger, and I was personally afraid of Dr. Icarus. Then sure.
Zir'Cvon'Gh, you did infiltrating?
This android did not do infiltrating on her own. However, she did instruct B.R.A.I.N to help her with the device constructed by Dr. Icarus. Again, only in cohorts to help get you guys out of the simulation, as it was terrifying.
I'm sorry, but that goes directly against my orders. I will
I
now...
do believe if I am worried as a service droid for your own health and safety, I am able to essentially help you in whatever manners possible. That is my job as a service droid.
But my orders, this is being run in a military fashion.
If you were knocked out and unable to help yourself, i.e. if you were trapped inside of a service with another entity or alien being, would you not want my help?
We were not trapped, we were just...
I do not believe I saw a way for you to get out. I don't know if there was any credits in your library.
We had to finish mission. We were well on way to completing mission. Anyway, it's still against my orders. On the ship, you would immediately be reprimanded and court-martialed, most likely. I'm now going to treat you like secret bug, you and B.R.A.I.N.
The only one that had a secret bug inside of it was the entity known as Dr. Icarus.
Yes,
but he just pulls out a little pad and writes, vinegar? Question mark.
What I'm going to do is argue that similarly, Dr. Icarus was organism who had other organism that committed crimes. We are one entity who had some organisms who committed crimes, so if we separate, I'm making it, it's either that or we have to be here forever. It's the only argument I can make. I don't understand the laws. I don't want to have to throw people under bus, but I didn't. You lay down in front of bus. I told you bus was coming. It's your own fault.
I do not believe that I am under the military command of you, but I do represent the ship itself.
No, it is... The way it works, if you're civilian under military contract, like you are, then you are subject to military laws. How did jurisdiction work?
If I did not study military jurisdiction, I've only studied salvage and transportation navigation. How am I to know of the laws based under military?
Ignorance of law is not excuse.
I again would like to bring up that it is my job as a service droid to take care of the team in which I am working for. In this environment in which we did not all know what was happening, it was my job to take care of you.
It is your job as service droid to follow orders of...
By the way, like every time Betty... Anytime Betty emotes, you've got like a glowing button that's just like... that's slowly pulsing, like... whoop, whoop, whoop. In front of your, like you have like a small panel in front of you, Ilya.
Yeah, I'm not. No chance. That's staying there.
If only you had this all the time.
Oh, okay. Betty, until silence bubble is down, you can share your opinions. I push the button.
We're going to jail. We're going to be in jail forever. Oh,
Nope, enough of that. This is how I'm going to approach. Unfortunately, we still have mission to complete. Losses are always unwanted, but if we permanently damage relations, you disobeyed orders. I can't put mission. I can't put our relations at risk. I'm very sorry, Zir'Cvon'Gh. I don't see what else I can do without putting more people at risk. I'm sure you understand the odds.
We get a sort of the camera kind of cuts. Dr. Icarus, you're laid up in this sort of hospital-like setting, right? In a kind of reclined position, tubes and stuff all stuck in various holes, and I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, got to worry about that, right? So, the images start to flash through your brain. You start to sort of remember stuff in horrible, like, downloads almost, where your brain has finally you've had access again to your brain, and all of this information starts to flood in about what has happened so far. And I think that you have been kind of locked away. Your entire, like, being, your choices that you would make, just locked away. They were not available to you. And now all of this information kind of floods back into you. And it's not just that. You also start to get some other information in sort of these horrible bursts of sight. I'd say similar to the way that Mass Effect does it, with the sort of like screams and the kind of like horrible images from odd perspectives. And this, you get sort of visuals of different worlds and sort of this very hive-like approach to things. You can tell that this is quite obviously memories from the Secret that had infested you. It was a cog in the machine for all intents and purposes, but it has allowed you these memories, and you have little bits and pieces. First and foremost, I think that just kind of overwhelms you is sheer numbers. The absolute insanity of level of populace that these Secret have is staggering to you. Just trying to imagine the amount of resources required to keep this many creatures alive is insane. It's so hard to process. They have trillions. It's staggering. And you also get sort of glimpses at these different Secret that you've never seen before. And you know immediately that they're Secret. You can see that there are these very much like these sort of very humanoid-like Secret that have really strange, I guess, like their whole skeletal structure for their head is really weird. It kind of like bends back to where their back is, and they have these sort of like armored plates all along their head. Otherwise, they're pretty humanoid. They're quite lean, but they have quite a lot of their mass, I guess, like where their hips are, and in their like where you would assume their brain would be. And this kind of travels back down towards their lower spine. It's this really weird kind of thing. Imagine if you took like the xenomorph head and you kind of sloped it down towards the back. And immediately you recognize that these creatures are sort of plugged in to some sort of neural network of sorts. These are the creatures that are giving the Secret orders, and you know that they are the creatures that I guess they control areas of space, and they are kind of like relays for all of this information. They are the commanders. You don't know. You don't have a name for them. You just know them by what they are. That's known to you. And there's a few others that kind of flash. You can see little bits and pieces, not enough to get a picture, but these commanders are kind of clear in their presence. You wake with a start. Got a tube down your throat.
I'm a doctor, by the way, if you didn't know. Can I recognize the basic functions of the machine, the tubes that the machines are coming out of?
Give me a medicine check.
I don't think I have a medicine check.
It's not a real doctor.
Yeah, it's just a logic check then.
There must be
Logic plus maybe electronics.
I have science equipment crafting.
I'll actually give that to you. I think that makes sense.
Plus logic.
A 17 on a 5d6. So you can't tell exactly what this stuff is. You can tell that it's definitely related to your medical care. There's some sort of a breathing tube going down your neck, going down your throat rather, and there's a it's some kind of combination setup where it sort of, I guess, cleans out any gross fluids or something from you. It's kind of like the dentist sucker. You know, one of those, like a little vacuum.
That's coming out.
There's all these like bloop, 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 kind of alerts going on. You have tubes stuck into your ears, and there's definitely a catheter and some sort of
I'm used to that. They probably just changed the tube.
yeah, there's definitely some kind of colon cleanser.
It's actually quite useful. Is there like water or something? Is there a drink here?
Oh, definitely not. No. You got some intravenous fluids being pumped into you.
That doesn't help with the horrendous taste in my mouth. Am I clothed there? Am I wearing clothes?
You're wearing sort of. Do you know the thing that Lilu wears in Fifth Element? Those kinds of thermal bandages. You've got the thermal bandages on.
Right. So I've got none of my stuff around.
No.
Look around. Nothing at
Nothing.
all. I'm gonna look around. Is there people here?
I'm gonna say there's not. You can tell that there's several. Everything's like very white and sort of glowy, like the kind of white ambience, that diffuse white ambience, where you can't really tell where the corners of rooms are, is happening, and it's but it is sort of hex shaped. You can maybe get some indications of the hex shape there, and there are no people around, but you can tell that there's I guess like there's probably a few doors, and there's some kind of monitoring equipment. It's strange. It doesn't necessarily look exactly like a camera. It's probably more like some kind of weird sphere that's projecting light.
Okay. Is there a button?
Like a nurse button?
Yeah.
Nope.
Is there a hospital heroin button?
Definitely not.
Okay. Do I have heart monitor on?
Yes.
I'm gonna break the circuit and pull off one.
Okay. You pull it off and you hear this like one of the doors, whoosh, you see this strange-looking creature that looks like a potato with many limbs that don't seem to really be jointed in a way that really makes a lot of sense. They just kind of move about like all kind of like weird, not really spider-like, but just kind of an awkward gait. And they move forward towards you, and they are ornamented with a lot of jewelry, and you can see that the face is kind of right in the center of the chest area. There is no head. It's definitely not a humanoid. And they're just covered in white. Not a ton of jewelry, I guess, but there's some that's kind of ornamented on some of the rear limbs. The frontal limbs are not covered in jewelry.
It looks like a potato with legs.
Potato with
basically
legs
like
and
the streamer
arms that are just kind of...
Pixelate. Got it. Right. Now, Neko. I'm going to try and communicate with it, I guess. Hello?
Creature 73198-4397892Q. Why have you removed your monitoring device?
Where am I?
You are located in the medical facility of the Spectacle, specifically Quadrant A39-B42.
Spectacle. That does ring a bell. The Spectacle.
Give me a logic check, please, Dr. Icarus. If you have Hardy, you can roll that.
I do not. You want a logic check?
Logic.
11.
How did you get an 11 on a logic check? Don't you have like 12 dice? It's a 46 and an 11. Okay. All right. So, you...
That is better than 4.
Congrats. So, you try to think on this for a second, and then when you do, all of the images just kind of start to flood in. Your brain feels like it's just downloading the fucking Matrix, right? Like it's like, whoa. You know, it's insanity, and it just all comes piling in all at once. And you start to get like this little like nosebleed that trickles down.
What was that Keanu Reeves movie where he stores data in his brain?
Johnny Mnemonic.
Yeah, that's who I am right now. Holy crap, I'm cool. Painful?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'll scream a little bit.
What is happening? You are leaking fluid.
Sensory overload. Ow. Ow.
Would you like the lights turned down?
Where is,
I will turn down the lights 30%.
I don't understand where I am, and I don't know what species you are.
I am part of the race known as the Pyrrylp. You have been violated by a member of a species known
Was it
as...
Betty?
Who is Betty?
I guess that's a no. So it could be worse. I've been violated by who? I'm sorry.
A member of a race that you have designated the Secret.
Wait, I was in my lab. One of the... Oh my god.
And that's where we're going to take our first break. We'll be right back, everybody. Stay tuned for more Warped, Season 2, Episode number 26. We'll be back in just a little bit. Hang tight.